A poet of decadence, a lover of beauty and horror, and a man tormented by time, Charles Baudelaire was a literary revolutionary. His work scandalized his contemporaries, yet it shaped the future of poetry, art, and modern thought. He lived in an age of transformation, where industrialization clashed with romantic ideals, and he sought to distill beauty from the grotesque. But who was the man behind La Fleur du Mal? And why does his work still haunt us today? Pierre Baudelaire was born on April 9th, 1821, in Paris. His father, Francois Baudelaire, was a senior civil servant and an amateur artist, a man of refined taste. But young Charles lost him at the age of 6. His mother, Caroline, soon remarried, choosing a strict and ambitious military officer, Jacques Opic, as her new husband. This decision would create a deep wound in Baudelaire's soul, one that never fully healed. Opic was everything Baudelaire despised, an embodiment of order, discipline, and bourgeois respectability. The young poet, by contrast, would embrace rebellion, sensuality, and the pursuit of aesthetic pleasure. In an attempt to straighten him out, Baudelaire's stepfather sent him on a voyage to India in 1841. But the journey was cut short, whether due to illness, rebellion, or sheer longing for Paris. Still, the brief experience of travel left a mark on his imagination, filling his poetry with exotic imagery and a yearning for the unknown. Upon his return to Paris, Baudelaire embraced the bohemian lifestyle. He immersed himself in the artistic and literary circles of the city, frequenting cafes where poets, painters, and intellectuals debated the meaning of art. He soon gained a reputation not just as a gifted writer, but as a dandy, a provocateur, and a man who lived extravagantly. It was during this period that Baudelaire inherited a significant fortune from his father's estate, but instead of securing his future, he squandered it on fine clothes, rare books, and, most infamously, his love affairs. One of the most influential figures in his life was Jeanne Duval, an actress and dancer of mixed-race heritage. She became his muse, his obsession, and his torment. Their relationship was passionate, turbulent, and at times destructive. Yet, she inspired some of his most powerful poetry. Baudelaire's love for Jeanne was intertwined with pain, desire, and self-destruction. Like many of his obsessions, it was both intoxicating and fatal. By the mid-1850s, Baudelaire had refined his poetic style, crafting verses unlike anything his contemporaries had seen. In 1857, he published his masterpiece, Les Fleurs du Mal, The Flowers of Evil. This collection of poetry was a revolution. It explored themes of love, death, decadence, eroticism, and the supernatural. Baudelaire did not shy away from the grotesque. Instead, he found beauty within it. But not everyone shared his vision. The French authorities condemned Les Fleurs du Mal for obscenity. 6 poems were banned and Baudelaire was fined. He was humiliated. Yet in that very moment, he secured his place in literary history. Despite the scandal, Baudelaire's reputation grew. Writers and artists saw him as a visionary, but the legal battle over Les Fleurs du Mal drained him, financially and emotionally. His health declined, his debts piled up, and his relationships frayed. During these years, Baudelaire became obsessed with the works of Edgar Allan Poe. He saw in Poe a kindred spirit, another outcast poet who embraced darkness and the macabre. Baudelaire took it upon himself to translate Poe's works into French, bringing them to a new audience. In Poe, he saw his own struggles reflected, the battle against mediocrity, the pull of self-destruction, and the relentless pursuit of beauty. In 1864, desperate for change, Baudelaire left Paris for Belgium. He hoped to find financial success giving lectures, but the trip was a disaster. He was mocked, ignored, and humiliated. The final blow came when he suffered a stroke, leaving him partially paralyzed and unable to speak. Baudelaire spent the last 2 years of his life in agony, unable to write, trapped in a failing body. He died on August 31st, 1867, at the age of 46. In death, he was finally given the recognition he longed for in life. Baudelaire's work, once condemned, became the foundation of modern poetry. Le Fleur du Mal inspired the Symbolists, the Decadents, and later the Surrealists. His vision of the poet as an outsider, alienated yet gifted with unique perception, became a defining idea of literary modernity. Today, Baudelaire's influence is everywhere. His poetry shaped figures like T.S. Eliot and Rainer Maria Rilke. His fascination with decadence echoes in modern art and music, and his vision of beauty, dark, troubled, and sublime, still speaks to us. Perhaps Baudelaire was right. The poet is forever cursed to wander between heaven and hell, between beauty and decay. But in that struggle, he creates something eternal,